source of comfort actually comes from zooming out and thinking, oh, it's not just Palestine. Really, it's Americans who have a myth about America and what it is and what it does and where it's been. Right? So I appreciate the taking issue with the Democratic Party, but I want to take issue politely, I suppose, here with folks who I would have called my allies, who aren't fighting with me, who I will continue to fight with, but who have created this false demarcation between the over here and the over there. Right? And I'm like, no. You cannot do that when the U.S. is a settler colony and an imperial power. Palestine is part of a U.S. geography because this is a U.S. genocide. The same way that we know that Puerto Rico, right, as a colony that's been unincorporated and yet dominated without the right to self-determination, is part of a U.S. geography. The same way that Hawaii, which is an independent sovereign that was illegally annexed, is part of a U.S. geography. Why is it that we can't now extend ourselves to understand Palestine as part of that geography? And it's because of this myth about ourselves where we don't see ourselves as an empire. And I think that that's also what's missing here. Had we understood ourselves as an empire, we would also understand that we are enriched, some of us are enriched by this slaughter. We would have understood that we have been, as empire, citizens in it, or residents in it at least, as beneficiaries of empire. We benefit from imperial privilege. We're vaccinated first. Right? There's jobs here. Why is the economy robust? What has been decimated and dispossessed in order to account for our wealth? And then how is it that we have historical examples of the U.S. and the Philippines and how that radically changed U.S. law enforcement and reorganized it? Or the U.S. in Vietnam and how that ushered a militarization of police and counterinsurgency tactics from that theater of U.S. war into our domestic politics. Or the U.S. war on terror, which is also part of our geography, that expanded presidential powers, increased surveillance, limited our civil rights, right? With our acquiescence. And now in Palestine, literally, you have snipers on rooftops. You have universities not only not defending academic freedom, but punishing you for producing knowledge. Right? You have these witch hunts in Congress that are led by brazen anti-Semites talking about protecting Jewish students against a hypothetical genocide because of students who are protesting an actual genocide. Right? This failure. Obviously, I'm getting worked up because even before, like the way that people kept saying, we hear you, but we're worried about what's happening over here. And I'm like, how come what's happening over here isn't registering for you? How is the mobilization and police brutality not part of an abolitionist framework? How come the shooting of Palestinians wearing keffiyehs and speaking Arabic that paralyzes Hisham al-Wattami is not terrifying to you as vigilante terrorism in this country? Or the stabbing to death of Walid al-Fayoumi, a 6-year-old boy? How come that's not over here? And there is no way to combat Islamophobia, anti-Palestinian racism, this type of deep racism here that doesn't combat U.S. empire abroad.